Courtney, that was bloody fantastic.
Thank you.
Let me tell you something, Courtney. Something has changed in you. Trust me. In the time you were on the show last year to now, your interaction with the audience, the confidence. I think this has been my favourite performance of you so far.
There are moments on television that stop you completely. Moments where the noise of the world fades, the studio lights feel almost too bright, and something genuinely human breaks through the polished surface of entertainment. Simon Cowell has spent decades building a wall between himself and those moments. He is the man who tells 16-year-olds their dreams are over with a bored expression. He is the man who sighs, rolls his eyes, and presses the red buzzer without a second thought. Emotion, for Simon Cowell, has always been a luxury he refuses to afford himself on camera. And yet, there is one name that reportedly cracks that wall. One story that, according to people close to him, genuinely weighs on his conscience. One young girl whose journey from a tiny mining village in County Durham to the glittering stage of America's Got Talent, and then into the shadows, he cannot quite shake from his memory. That name is Courtney Hadwin. This is not just the story of a talented teenager who went viral. This is the story of what the entertainment industry does to children when it decides they are ready before they actually are. It is the story of a machine that chews up raw brilliance and spits out something unrecognizable. And it is, reportedly, the story of a powerful man finally confronting the part he played in all of it. Today, we are going to walk through Courtney Hadwin's full journey, from her earliest days singing in a small English village, to her explosive arrival on the world stage, to her quiet disappearance, and finally to her remarkable return. And we are going to ask the question that has been circling the internet for months. Did Simon Cowell really break down in tears over what happened to her? Let's get into it. To understand Courtney Hadwin, you first have to understand where she came from. Hesleden is not a place that appears on many maps that matter to the entertainment industry. It is a small, quiet former mining village sitting near Hartlepool in County Durham, in the northeast of England. It is the kind of place where people know each other's names, where community means something real, and where a young girl singing in her living room is just a young girl singing in her living room. Not a commodity, not a product, not a brand. Courtney was born on the 6th of July, 2004. She grew up in that village alongside her parents, Paul and Anne-Marie, and her younger siblings. By most accounts, her childhood was grounded and loving. Her parents were not stage parents in the Hollywood sense of the word. They were ordinary people who recognized something extraordinary in their daughter and chose to support it rather than exploit it. Music found Courtney early. She began singing at home almost as soon as she could form sentences, the way some children do when music lives in their bones before they even understand what music is. She explored musical theater, sang covers around the house, and developed a voice that seemed to belong to someone twice, maybe 3 times, her age. The real turning point came when she watched Connie Talbot perform on Britain's Got Talent. Something clicked. A dream solidified. She decided, with the quiet certainty that some children possess, that she was going to sing seriously. By around 9 or 10 years old, she was doing exactly that. At 11, while attending Hesleden Primary School and then the academy at Shotton Hall, she stepped up to a lunchtime open mic and sang Say Something by A Great Big World and Christina Aguilera. Someone filmed it on a phone and posted it to Facebook. The video spread quickly through the local community. Classmates were stunned. Teachers took notice. The message from everyone around her was the same. This is not ordinary. You need to pursue this. And Courtney listened. She began busking in local spaces, not for fame, but to help fund singing lessons and cover the travel costs her family could not always easily afford. Her grandfather would later speak about those days with unmistakable pride. She attended multiple local academies, worked on her craft with genuine discipline, and competed in her first notable competition, Teenstar UK in Newcastle, in 2015, where she reached the grand final performing Bob Dylan's Make You Feel My Love. The following year, she won Hartlepool's Performer of the Year award. She auditioned for Open MIC UK. She opened for Sister Sledge at the South Tyneside Festival in front of over 18,000 people. That last detail deserves a pause. 18,000 people. And she was 12 years old. Then came The Voice Kids UK, where her audition performance of Tina Turner's Nutbush City Limits earned her a place on Danny Jones's team. She battled through round after round, eventually finishing as a finalist. Each competition, each stage, each crowd added something to her. She was not just practicing. She was becoming. Her family sacrificed enormously during these years. Her father took on extra work, delivering pizzas, helping with petrol money, driving across the Northeast so his daughter could chase something they all believed in. Her mother cheered from the sidelines. The whole family eventually relocated temporarily to support her when the opportunities grew too big to manage from home alone. That grounding, that love, that sense of home, it would later become the very thing that saved her. By early 2018, the right people had taken notice. Show producers searching for international talent reached out, and 13-year-old Courtney Hadwin found herself invited to audition for Season 13 of America's Got Talent. This was not a local competition. This was not a regional open mic. This was the biggest talent stage in the world, broadcast to millions, with judges whose opinions could make or end careers before they had truly begun. She walked out looking exactly as you would expect a shy 13-year-old girl from a small English village to look. Nervous, quiet, slightly overwhelmed by the lights and the crowd and the sheer weight of the moment. The audience, accustomed to polished performances and carefully rehearsed stage personas, probably did not know what to make of her. Neither, it seemed, did the judges. And then the music started. The opening notes of Otis Redding's Hard to Handle filled the studio, and something extraordinary happened. The shy girl disappeared. In her place stood someone who seemed to have arrived from a completely different era. A soul singer from the 1960s channeling decades of pain and power through a body that had not yet been alive for 14 years. Her voice was raspy and raw and enormous. She moved across the stage with an energy that seemed almost involuntary, as though the music was physically moving through her rather than simply coming out of her. The audience erupted. The judges sat forward. Simon Cowell, the man who famously never flinches, the man who has heard tens of thousands of auditions and remained unmoved by the vast majority, went rigid. His expression shifted from polite attention to something far more vulnerable. He later said, in the moment that became one of the most replayed clips from that season, that she had walked out as a shy little thing and then sang like a lion. It was not a rehearsed compliment. It was a genuine reaction from a man caught completely off guard. Howie Mandel did not hesitate. He pressed the golden buzzer, sending Courtney straight through to the live shows. He told the audience that her voice belonged to a whole different era, that she reminded him of Janis Joplin. The comparison was not made lightly. Janis Joplin is considered one of the greatest and most emotionally powerful rock and blues vocalists in the history of recorded music. To invoke her name for a 13-year-old from County Durham was either foolish or visionary. As it turned out, it was visionary. The audition video spread across the internet within hours. Within days, it had accumulated views in the hundreds of millions. Headlines around the world called her the next Janis Joplin, the British soul sensation, the 13-year-old who sings like a legend. She advanced through the quarterfinals and semifinals, delivering performance after performance that left audiences breathless. She finished the competition in 6th place overall, a result that genuinely surprised many who had watched her journey. But the competition result was almost beside the point. What Courtney had done was introduce herself to the entire world in a single performance. And the world, including some very powerful people in the music industry, had been paying close attention. Simon Cowell signed Courtney Hadwin to Psycho Music, in partnership with Arista Records, shortly after the 2018 live shows concluded. She was 14 years old. The announcement was made with considerable fanfare. Courtney told interviewers that it felt like a dream come true, that she was excited to create original music and stay true to herself. She meant every word. She simply did not yet understand what the machinery surrounding those words actually looked like up close. What followed was an education in the gap between the romance of music and the reality of the music industry. Almost immediately, Courtney's life became something she barely recognized. There were deadlines and meetings and recording sessions that ran into the early hours of the morning. There were producers who arrived with beats and hooks and fully formed ideas about what Courtney Hadwin should sound like, and those ideas did not always align with the raw, gritty, deeply soulful voice that had made the world fall in love with her in the first place. The industry wanted a pop soul crossover. Courtney wanted to be honest. She found herself traveling between the United Kingdom and the United States with a frequency that would exhaust a seasoned adult professional, let alone a teenage girl who was still attending school, still figuring out who she was, still in the early stages of building an identity that had nothing to do with music. A typical day might begin at home in England and end in a recording studio in America. Sessions involved multiple producers, multiple sets of opinions, and constant pressure to deliver something radio-ready, something commercially viable, something that could justify the investment the label had made. Courtney later described feeling that the people around her were constantly telling her what she should sound like and who she should be. She described writing sessions in which her own ideas were gently but consistently sidelined in favor of directions that felt foreign to her. She described feeling like a character in someone else's story rather than the author of her own. The creative control that had always been at the heart of her joy in music was quietly taken away, piece by piece, not through malice, but through the ordinary functioning of a commercial industry that had no particular interest in a 14-year-old's artistic integrity. The mental and emotional toll was significant. Courtney spoke in interviews about bouts of overwhelm, about the exhaustion of carrying the weight of a finale performance week after week while simultaneously navigating the pressures of the recording process. She described feeling isolated, surrounded by industry professionals and business meetings, missing home, missing the straightforward joy of simply singing a song she loved for an audience of people she could see clearly. The warmth and grounding of her family helped, but it could not entirely counteract the weight of what she was being asked to carry. Gradually, something shifted. The social media posts became less frequent. The public appearances became rarer. The headlines about the next big thing slowly gave way to silence, and then to questions, and then to speculation. Where had Courtney Hadwin gone? What had happened to the girl who had set the world on fire? The silence that followed was interpreted in a dozen different ways by a dozen different observers. Some assumed she had simply faded, the way so many talent show discoveries do, briefly brilliant and then gone. Some speculated about health issues or personal difficulties.